Hi everyone, this is Sister Garver. I had some questions about filling out the DAPPS on the academic skill plan, so I wanted to give a little bit more explanation about that. I'll try to keep this as short as I can, but once I went down the rabbit hole, it was a little hard to stop, so hopefully this will be a helpful video. Okay, so setting a goal in DAPPS format is all about setting a goal that will actually move you toward your desired outcome. DAPPS stands for Dated, Achievable, Personal, Positive, and Specific. So right here on the right is what the academic skill plan is going to look like, at least the section where you talk about DAPPS. And basically right here in this spot, you're going to write your one-sentence goal, which should be some specific action that you plan to take. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write a short sentence or phrase for each letter of the DAPPS explaining how it fits each of those criteria. So dated, achievable, personal, positive, and specific. Okay, so let's just reiterate: one-sentence goal and a one-sentence brief explanation of how it fits each category of the DAPPS. And then I'm going to go ahead and explain each of the categories really quickly. So for dated, you just need to put some kind of a date when you're going to evaluate your goal. Next week, next Wednesday, the 18th, next year, whatever, something like that. If you are doing a longer-term goal, then you want to set a date when you're going to reevaluate your goal. So most of the goals, all the goals actually that we set in this class are set up to be a goal that lasts for 1 week. But you can make a longer term goal, but if you want to do that, just make sure that you can make some substantial progress on it in a week so that you are able to fill out your report about it when you're done. And you can just put your date as either, the week next week when you're going to report on it, or the end of the semester, or whatever. Just make sure you pick a specific day. Achievable. So just making your goal achievable, you're just trying to evaluate really quickly if this is something that you're able to accomplish. Do you have the time and energy for this? You do want to set goals that are ambitious, but you don't want to set goals that are way out of reach. So you're going to have to kind of personally evaluate that and say, okay, do I really have the resources to do this goal? Personal. So this one basically is talking about, is this something I'm doing for me? Is this something I'm doing for my benefit? You don't want to make a goal that is something that your mom wants you to do, your professor wants you to do. You want to be something that you feel is meaningful to you. Yeah, so on that one, just make sure that this is something that you actually want to do and that something will benefit you. Positive. So there's kind of two aspects to the positive part of it. First of all, you want to make sure to phrase this in a positive way. So if you're talking about your academics, you don't say something like, I want to not fail this semester. Say, I want to get a B in my class. So make it something positive, something good. Don't take that from a deficit mindset. Also make sure that it's just something that will move you forward in a positive direction. Something that will be helpful. I'm going to show some examples of that in a minute because I know that can be a little hard. And then specific. This one is the one that I find students struggle with the most. You want to make sure that your goal is a specific action. So a lot of people will say something kind of vague like, I want to get better at reading. And that's kind of more of an outcome than a goal. What you really want to say is what you plan to do to achieve that. So I will read 30 minutes a day, or I will practice speed reading, or I will study vocabulary, or something like that. Okay, so let's see some quick examples. So remember I told you you're going to fill in a one-sentence goal and then a short short phrase or sentence for each of the letters of the DAPPS. So if your goal is, about reading, you're going to read 30 minutes a day, then you have a short sentence here just kind of explaining how it meets each of the criteria. You're going to have a date. You're going to say, I think I can achieve it because. You're going to say it's personal to me because it's, it's something I want to improve. It's something I've struggled with. It's something that I feel will help me, that sort of thing. And then just evaluate, did you phrase it positively? And is it specific? So these are just a couple of examples of goals that you can make with the DAPPS. Here's a couple more examples. Again, these are specific. This is a specific action you can take. You're not just saying, I want to get better at public speaking. You're saying, I'm going to practice my speech a certain period of time or a certain number of times in front of a certain crowd, something like that. Again, these are all things that would be easy to quantify. If you're saying, I just want to improve in something, that's not really quantifiable, so that's not really specific enough. Okay, so hopefully that's enough explanation for most of you. If you pretty well understand it, you can go ahead and stop the video here. I'm going to go ahead and go on to some bad examples, which, like I say, you may not need this part of it, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of explain kind of like the what not to do. So as far as dated, where you fail to set a specific date or end date for your goal or for your check-in time. So if you're just thinking, I want to do this sometime, you don't want to do that. You want to say, it's next year, it's next week, it's Tuesday the 15th, the end of the semester, the end of winter term, something like that. You hold yourself more accountable if you set a specific date. Achievable. So this one here is a very ambitious goal that I've written down. I did that on purpose because I see more often with my students, they make goals that are too ambitious most of the time. So you really need to be able to honestly evaluate yourself and say, is this something that I can do? Now, this goal that I wrote down here as an example might be something that you're capable of. Some people are, but it's certainly difficult, and you may not be able to do that every semester. So again, really take stock of that and say, is this something that I can accomplish? And of course, if you are not pushing yourself, sometimes you might need to talk to a friend or family member and say, hey, do you think this is ambitious enough, or should I reach harder? But more often, my students are pushing themselves harder than is reasonable. Okay, so bad examples for positive things. Okay, so for this one here, this top one, I'll complete my assignments without asking for help. That's not a conscious goal that most of us make, but it is a goal that I see a lot of my students kind of having in the back of their mind, that they're going to I'm just going to study harder. I'm just going to do more by myself. And that's not necessarily something that's going to move you in a positive direction. So if you find yourself kind of unconsciously having that goal of doing it by yourself without asking for help, just ask yourself, is this going to move me in the right direction, or is that something that maybe I should let go of? And then the other part of that is phrasing it positively. So this, as you can see, is phrased really negatively. Instead, you want to say, I want to be able to do this, not I just want to stop being bad at this. So you want to phrase it positively, because that just helps you and empowers you to be able to move forward towards your goals. So more bad examples, things not to do. Personal, you don't want to choose a goal because it's something somebody else wants. You want to choose something that you want to do. And also, you don't want to make it something that would necessarily, especially when we're making academic goals, you want to be something that you feel would benefit you as well, something that helps you to move forward. You're not making this goal because of someone else. And I mentioned here that you probably don't want to make it at the purpose of competing with someone. There is healthy competition, so there's a little bit of leeway in there. Sometimes you can make a healthy competitive goal. And sometimes you're making a goal that's kind of self-destructive because you're comparing yourself. So you kind of have to evaluate that and kind of have some self-awareness to know which one you're doing there. Okay, and then the last one, I see this most often, again, having it too vague. It's just saying I want to get better at something, or I want to improve something. You want to identify a specific action. I'm going to read for this long. I'm going to practice for this long. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to study for this many minutes. So something really specific that's an action you can identify, so that it's not too vague. Okay, so that's my little discussion on the DAPPS goals and how to write a goal in DAPPS format. So you don't have to write a lengthy explanation there when you're writing your sentences for the DAPPS. Just tell me briefly how your goal fits each of the letters of the acronym. Of course, don't forget to write your one-sentence goal so it'll know in context what you're referring to. So, okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope it wasn't too long. Thanks so much for your time, and let me know if you have questions.